Hey, Scott, thanks for doing this with me.
You're welcome, Lou.
Joining me on the Infinite Inspirations. And I know you from the inspiration you give me constantly, the constant content you come out with, the support that you give, that to me feels very unconditional. It's very supportive. So I thought I would have a little chat for everybody else so that they can get to know you too and the gift that you are to the world.
Thank you.
So, as you know, I pre-prepped with a few questions, so I'll start there. And then if I start, as you know, sometimes I start channeling and they'll just start asking questions that'll make you shine even more.
An open book for you, Lou.
So we'll start with, what's the problem that you solve with your clients?
Yeah, when you gave that question, it's just, I find it quite a difficult one to answer really in one thing. I think there's a few levels of it, deeper levels, and you'll notice from working with me a little bit. I think the initial surface level is that basically help coaches build and scale their business. Simple as that, at whatever level they're at. That was, and majority of that, which people see my stuff, is more about getting clients quickly, because that's normally at the position people coaches are at, if you like. And I think that's where the problem of it, the title, if you want to call it, the marketing expert comes into it in action. But then, as you'll know, get to know me, then the next deeper levels we go into more the mentoring and then the coaching in that cycle. So when coaches start working with me, and you've probably seen this, hopefully, that service level goes away very quickly, and we very quickly go down to a deeper level. And I believe, my belief is the biggest problem I solve for people is the belief, and not just their own belief in themselves, but me believing in them, someone having their back, someone believing them.
Yeah.
Someone that, you like the word you use, unconditionally, with no judgment for them. And because of my experience can go into that. And I suppose there's not many, I like to think there's not many people in this area, but they kind of, again, put me into boxes. Difficult, because I don't mind going down the spiritual, I don't mind going down the woo-woo, I don't mind, but also going to the, like, we still need to implement and do stuff, and daily actions and stuff like that. So there's a real mixture, which is why on the personality test I always come out a bit weird. It's a bit balanced across them all. But I think, so in terms of, I think there's that service level of helping just get clients and building and scaling the coaching business, and then the deeper level really being there for them in a way that a mentor should be and a coach should be for people.
So what would that look like? So for me, my personal experience is the key thing for me was you have an amazing ability of keeping me out of overwhelm. It's not, that for me is the biggest support.
Yeah. And that's from my own experience of when I'm operating at my best. Being in the moment is really important to that for me. I think that's something that I've learned. It's not a natural thing at all. I've learned to be in, is really be in the moment. And I think really being in the moment and being me in every environment. So whether I'm playing with my kids, whether I'm going shopping with Nicole, my wife, whether I'm playing golf, whatever I'm doing, I'm being really authentically me now, being me. And whatever I'm doing, I'm in that moment. And it's not an easy skill to learn, or whatever you practice. You have, it's almost a thing. I call it with my coach. I always call it a thing called catch and reset. So I have to catch and reset myself all the time. But I think being in that moment of any given point gives me amazing clarity on things. So I know I wasn't always, my ego would sort of say to me, don't be big-headed and stuff like that. But I know my gift is simplifying stuff and just seeing the simple thing. And I know that even though I didn't know that years ago, that was the reason why I had a lot of successes with corporate businesses years ago and doing business turnaround, because I saw the simplicity and everything. But the thing that allows me to do that is it's just being in that real moment, I think, and it allows me to have real clarity, so that when that being in a moment with you, when we're on our client calls and you got this to this, I somehow see it very clear on the path. And when you see it very clear, it's very easy to take away what's not important in that conversation or in that moment.
You feel that's like the difference that you make?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because I would be, and it's again something it takes practice. I wasn't confident doing this, but I'm really confident now that I can get on the call with anyone with anything, and they can go, I've got this thing, and I could have a sort of deep thought and then solve it very quickly. I really feel.
Have you got an example of that? Something that, like a recent example?
A few. Just trying to think what I could use that's. I think there's a good example actually from the conversation, funny enough, over the weekend, a WhatsApp conversation with someone, where they've started, funny enough, try to sell to me. So they got on a call with me through through my sister Brian, and got on a call with me because we thought they were a potential lead, if you like, someone service, and they wanted to sell their stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And I think when we all had that happen to us, and there's a natural sort of discomfort with it and an annoyance with it, and really want to put that person to rights. I saw it in a very clear, different way, and because I think, seeing as I always come from a place of understanding, you've got to be clear as well. You've got to look at it from all different sides, if you like.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what's that person trying to do? They're just trying to get business, and they might really need a new client to pay the mortgage or put food on the table. You don't know everyone's situation. So straight away, that takes away the anger for me around why they trying to sell to me. Right? And then having that sort of kind of being in there and then trying to sort of encourage them and being inspiring to them rather than prescriptive to them, is then I was able to say, I asked them a few questions. Obviously, what's your biggest challenge around this at the moment? And they kind of, yeah. And my thing was, this is why I think, look, you're doing a really bad job of selling to me. Even when we got on the call and it was a thing, and then the after bit, and I was able to give them sort of kind of just a very clear look. This is a bit, for the future, I would try this, and this instead, and from someone and they were an agency, a marketing agency, and I've run and built 2 agencies, so connected to them, so I know that world as well. But it was a good example that I suppose that I could see the clarity of where that particular person, what they are to get to that thing, is because it was obvious that the way their approach to me was, for me, the clarity was, this person doesn't like cold DMing. This person is not, they might be doing this strategy, but they're not happy doing it. It doesn't really fit with them. So seeing that and having been able to verbalize that and have that conversation in a inspiring way, rather than look, you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing blah blah blah. We've had a really good conversation around that, and funny enough, the likelihood is that they want to work with me now, even though before, but which is sort of turnaround. But that would be a good example of me, I suppose, seeing it and being really clear, rather than having these filters of how I should react to something like that.
Yeah. That's quite a unique perspective. There are people out there, obviously, that have that ability, but there's very few. You would just get annoyed and not be able to self-reflect. So that kind of being able to understand that for yourself, is having that self-awareness, is, I feel, for me, is like a key thing that you bring to like our relationship when you're coaching me, helping me through things. and that I don't have to follow the norm. You know, that you need to post 20 posts a day and, you know, drown everybody in emails. And I mean, I am exaggerating. Obviously, there's not many people out there that would support that.
There's a simple stat around that. You know, so if you just look at the coaching industry, for example, you know, which I imagine your audience and who you're connected to, a lot of coaches will see this. But if you look at the coaching industry, you know, I think it's about something like 98% of coaches are underachieving to, you know, and not replacing their what their full-time job was. Okay. So if that's the case, why try and do what 98% of other coaches are trying to do?
Yeah.
Because it's not working.
Yeah.
And the 2% doesn't come from, oh, the 2% are doing this, or I'm doing this and someone doing that, whatever. The 2% is around what's best for you. You know, some people like getting on the phone and calling people. Some people absolutely hate that. I do. Some people have a real resistance to posting anything on social media, you know, and other people share it, you know, warts and all on social media. So it's that 2% is finding a way that, for me, to allow you to express yourself and find your voice in what's right for you, rather than just what everyone's doing, or even just what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing might not. I know actually, us two is a good example. What I do won't work for you, because I know you won't be able to stick to it.
Yeah, I won't stick to it. Yeah.
So we need to find a different, you know, way for you to be you.
Yeah. That's quite a unique gift as well, that flexibility in approach. And that, you know, I made a note earlier when you were talking about something that, for me, it just made it very clear for me what you do for me personally within my business, and how I'm moving forward and starting to show up now, rather than being the best kept secret. And that you met me, so you meet people where they're at, and you support to where they want to be going. So it's not a case of being where you want to, like where the client wants to get to. You support all the way. You do the journey with them, which I think is quite a different.
I might use this.
A different way. Yeah. Well, feel free.
Well, there's you asked a question, I think about the what people want to take away right now. I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's important is again, different perspectives. It really is important for people to go different perspectives. There's no right, wrong. There's no right road, wrong road. You just take one step forward. You'll see everything from a different perspective, one step forward. Anyway, you know. So for me, you look at everyone's journey is different. The big one for me, a few years ago, I had a conversation with Stuart Swindell. We ended up in a long conversation in a pub in London around what does success mean to people, you know. And what was clear from that, if you like, that everyone's got a different level of success, right? They want, and success is not the outcome. Success is the journey, because, you know, during that journey you grow and everything like that. But the simple, so if you look at, we want to go from where we are, you know, I don't know the audience, but we're here in the UK and we want to go to France, say, for example, right? Which, if anyone doesn't know, we've got across the channel, the English channel. Now, that journey, we can do that quite a few different ways. You know, you could swim it if you really want, in a really difficult way. I mean, girls like will swim it, but you can swim it. You can go by boat. You can go by plane. You can go by the tunnel now, you know, so you can go by car. You can go by ferry instead of, you know, or you can go by speedboat if you want to be. You've even got different versions of planes, you know, you can go, you know, Ryan Scare if you like, or whatever. Or you could go, you know, private jet. You could even go you could even go hot air balloon if you really wanted to, or, you know, if you're really brave, you could try paraglider, whatever you want. There's so many different ways you can get to that. Now, the uniqueness comes in is, I might say to you, the best way and quickest way to get there is plane. But if you've got a fear of flying, that is the most stressful and painful way for you to get there. Right? So then it's what's the best option for you, and that is right. The ferry. It might be slower. I might get there in longer time, but I will get there with less pain and with less stress. And it's the same. I might go, well, I don't like going on the boat, or I don't like the tunnel scares the life. I have been in the tunnel, but it scares the life out of me because of but I did that probably years ago, not so much now. But but again, so everyone's level of discomfort and ease and preference is slightly different. And there'll be other people go, I don't care, I don't mind playing, whatever. I just want to get there the fastest way possible.
How do you approach the resistance? Like, what would be a like a tool someone could take away right now when they notice the resistance that someone's been coaching them through, and they're saying, you need to. The best way is just to fly over there. So say that's do live videos.
So the best way, easiest way with anything, whether it's coaching, whether it's like doing what I do, or with you, or coach someone with what you do, best way again is to be back into being in the moment. And if it's particularly as a client yours or potential client, you're always doing what's best for them, right? You're always seeing it from their eyes as well. Now, the only way that you can do that is you've got to test it a little bit, but you've got to test it in a way where I might say to you, look, I want you to do 15 live videos this week, right? Now, when I say it, and this is what I think a lot of, if people in my industry, and I hate to kind of everyone, but I think a lot of problem is people say things and without, and that's it, right? This is what you should, this is the best way to do it. Very prescriptive. Whereas if you're going to say anything, I might say to you, do 15 live videos this week. But at the same time that I'm saying it, I've also got to be watching you for your reaction. Now, if your reaction is somewhat of discomfort or, oh my God, right?
15, oh my God.
Then the awareness and being in the moment with you in that awareness, rather than thinking about, oh, I've got to do this email, I've got to do that, I'm trying to do, these people on Zoom are trying to do other things at the same time. Missing out on so much in the world and human interaction, unfortunately, but I think they're multitasking, but anyway, don't get on to that. But so I've got to say something that, and if you say something to test someone where the resistance is real in everything. But until you say it, or until you ask someone to do a task, you won't know where the resistance. Now, I asked someone recently, a client, to do a task that I knew that they would really find resistant. Right? But I wanted them to actually have that resistance, because then that level of that resistance they have would tell me where they actually are and how far they can do it.
And I'm guessing if you, so where you just mentioned about the, the gibbering away too quick, where you just mentioned about doing 15 lives a week, the immediate thought would be, oh my God, what am I going to come up with? But you haven't been prescriptive in that. Like, you haven't said, you've just said to go live. So it could be you just go live, you say, hi, I'm live, this is number 12 of my 15 lives, hope you're all doing well, see you again tomorrow. And that's it, that's your live. But the thought is, the belief when you hear to do the lives is you've got to talk for an hour on something that's really productive, got to come up with all this content, it's got to give good value, and actually you're just inviting the showing up, in whatever respect. That's,
and the piece before that is the getting people to understand why and what, always kind of, I think I talked about in a video recently that I don't know if you've seen it with the 7 Habits book, about the massive secret in there from chapter habit 5 around seek first to understand before you understood. So if I kind of initially go that this what's working really well at the moment, or what's doing well, doing these lives in this order, and pre-framing it and taking that initial scariness away, and then seeing that reaction to see where the resistance is, then it's about then the conversation of then how do we do it, and then it's also being able to have that. So rather than doing 15 lives and then bye, see you, it's like if you're coaching someone and you want them to do an action, you know, it's kind of like, this is what the action is, you know, but then going through that conversation of how you can actually implement that, you know, and that might even be with coaches, you know, like, so you might say someone like, really what I want you to do is do manifesting this week, you know, I want you to do some manifesting meditation on Monday. Now, if you leave it like that, there'll be some resistance, it won't be done properly. But if the conversation after is right, now I can see you're okay with doing that, and it's not so far-fetched and you're okay from your reaction, let's talk about how we can do that.
Yeah.
And then that's really, you know, a powerful part for people, if you like, coaching people particularly. And, which most coaches, you know, there's a lot that will kind of do the like, very prescriptive, you know, this is what you need to do.
It's even your free training. So for those that aren't aware, Scott has a Facebook group, and in it is, I don't even know how many videos you've got in there, and they're just gold, pure gold. They're very easy. You go through. It's not so much the prescriptive how to, but it certainly, it gives you the kind of the what needs.
It's the what and the why. Yeah. It's not the how to at all in them, because that's, you know, the level of content. And when, again, for coaches that might see this with other people, you know, you can share with people, if you're talking about content, you can share with people what and why. The how to is what people pay you for, you know. It's simply,
and also,
you know,
it's like the like you were talking about, like whether you catch a plane or a boat, or and then what type it is. You don't go into the how the plane flies, how it gets over there, all of the things you have to do before and after that, all of that, you know, the weather and anything else. You don't go into it, all of that, because it's not needed. It's like, do you want to get there? This is, which of these options would you like?
Well, even when you choose a holiday destination, you know, initially it's all about the destination.
Yeah.
And then after you've decided on the destination, if you like, then it's more about, right, now, how do we get there? How do we, you know, what time of day, you know, all these other things, you know, have we got a passport? You know, it's like, it's our passport date, you know, all them things are really the afterthought, or then, and they're more into the how to. But it's the same if you go to a car garage, you know, with a fault in your car that you don't use, to say, look, you know, got a fault in my car, I don't know what's wrong with it, it's doing this, this, and this. They're explaining to you exactly what it's doing wrong, what they're going to do to fix it, you know. Now, and you're like, okay, you know, so they actually tell you everything you need to know. But then obviously they go and do their how to bit and implement it, you know, and fix it for you know. And it's and
there's a general rule. They don't, the only thing you want to know is, can you fix it, and how much is it going to cost, and how long is it going to take? That's pretty much, they're the questions that you have. And they're the ones you definitely want answering like immediately, aren't they? They're the decision makers for you.
Yeah.
And I think you do there's a 3x3 content, and I think that allows that to come forward from for me when I was doing it, it made the journey for me understanding where the client's at and finding those questions that they would have, those answers that they're the decision maker questions. It really helps with that.
Yeah.
And people who don't have those questions just aren't your clients, and being okay with that, because, you know, there's a lot of people on this planet, and one person can't serve all of them.
No, there's much more than that. It's about like the social media platforms, you know, should I do this? Should I do that? I need to do all of them. But the reality is, any of them in their own right have got more than enough for you for a lifetime of clients.
Yeah.
So, you know, why get overwhelmed of trying to do 4 or 5 different platforms when do one that you enjoy being on, if you like, and, you know, and sort of basing your content, your strategy around that, because every platform's got more than enough clients for everyone.
Yeah.
For a lifetime value. You know? So it's and probably, and again, which is why, you know, there's not just 10 coaches in the world, for example. You know, there's not just one car garage in the world. You know, there's not, you know, one holiday destination, you know, things in the world, because there's plenty enough. There's an abundance, and again, it's probably part of my makeup now, seeing things in more of an abundant mode rather than in a closed mode.
Well, we noticed that just even when you like when you go to the shop and you go for an apple, not only have you got a choice of brand of apple, but you've also got the choice of an apple. So even if it's the same type of apple, like a Granny Smith, say, you then have the choice of which of the Granny Smiths. So if you know you need, like with you, like marketing coaching, business coaching, anything along those lines, like how you pick the apple, does that, it's that, and it's understanding that and being okay with that you're just one of the apples or one of the brands of loaves of bread.
Yeah, it's like, it's like you've got car manufacturers, new car manufacturers that are popping up now, like Genesis, with their new electric vehicles. It's like in some ways you'd be thinking, well, is there room for another car manufacturer? We've got how many? No, I don't think. I'm really into my cars, but I couldn't name every manufacturer of a car. Yeah, another one feels like there needs to be another one there, and again, there's just the option, and people a lot of car brand people are very loyal to their car brand because there's something about it that just connects with them.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the same picking anything, coaches as well, mentors, whatever.
So. Yeah, although if you pick your nose, you've only got one of them. Sorry. Be sensible. Yeah. So what's the best way, like if you wanted, somebody was just curious, they wanted to find out a bit more who you are, what would be like, where would you recommend?
Well, I recommend find me on Facebook. Just put me on Facebook.
Is that the free group?
Yeah, the free group. So you can search for that, which is Become a Successful Coach. If you search for that as a group.
Yeah. I'll be putting the links below so everyone can find you.
And just find me on Facebook. If they go to yours, obviously we're connected, so they'll and that's the best way, or even indeed reach out for me. The best way to reach out to me is Messenger, Facebook Messenger. So, and the best way to find people, I don't know if people know this, but my handle is Scott Campbell Online. So if you go to Messenger, which is m.me, and then the little / thing. It's called / maybe it's, but the if you go m.me / Scott Campbell Online, you'll actually be able to message me direct from there. So
brilliant.
And then you're obviously, once you message, you can see people's profile anyway from there as well.
Great. I shall post all those links for you and for everyone watching. And thank you very much. I shall go rinse out my coffee cup now and refill.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all for joining us. Bye.